New this morning, it has been almost a year since a fourplex exploded on Lincoln Street, and it's been untouched ever since.
9 News reporter Brianna Fernandez has been following the story from the very beginning. She joins us live now. And Brianna, this is such an eyesore for the area. Has there been any work done to this home?
So not much, and according to city officials, they say that they finally got a permit approved and issued so they can finally demolish this building. So that permit was issued back on June 4th, and like you guys mentioned, it has been an eyesore not only for businesses who are right behind this building, but also neighbors and those folks who drive through Lincoln Street every single day. So take a look at your screen. This is actually side-by-side picture of that home explosion when it first happened back on August 10th, and then earlier this week, that video. So a lot of rubble still sitting here. The changes we've noticed is a tarp placed on the right side of the fourplex, plus a large crane in the back of the building. It's there to remove the half of what was left in the second floor. So the property owner hired a contractor and submitted the demolition application earlier this year. And according to the deputy building official, Dennis Schultz, that application was in the hands of several agencies. So that includes the state, DOTI, Public Works, and the forestry as well. So it's taken a while to get it approved and then signed off by every agency involved.
It definitely has been a while. I haven't really seen much of anything. The only thing that I've noticed is that they keep updating the fence because people keep graffitiing on it, which I think is kind of funny that the house is still there destroyed, but they're more focused on changing the fence because of the graffiti.
Now, Denver Fire has not announced exactly what caused the explosion. During the time of the explosion, we know one person was injured and a dog was killed. Now, I have reached out to the contractors who are working on this demolition, ASR company. I have emailed, I have called, just to kind of see when exactly this work will be completed, but I have yet to hear back. For now, I'm live in Denver. Brianna Fernandez for 9 News.
It has been such a slow process. All right, Brianna, thanks for the update. City leaders in Aurora turned down the chance to apologize to the family of Kylan Lewis. Now protesters say they will come back to the next city council meeting to continue their demand for justice. Lewis was unarmed with a phone in his hand when he was shot and killed by Aurora police back in May. There was a resolution in last night's agenda to apologize to the family, but council members voted 8-2 to remove it from the agenda. When that vote came down, protesters took over the meeting. Family and friends of Lewis, along with supporters, chanted over the Aurora council meeting. The council and mayor then left the room to convene in private. The two council members who voted for the apology came back to hear supporters' concerns about the way Lewis died. After the council meeting ended, Allison Coombs, who proposed the apology, said there were two reasons her colleagues voted down the resolution.
First of all, people would have had to spend their time listening to the community, and they didn't want to do that. And second of all, what I was told by my colleagues is that having this resolution at all was divisive. That if they voted no, that was going to make the community even more upset, and that I should have just not brought it to begin with.
Protesters say they will do what they can to keep Lewis's memory alive. They say they plan to go to Aurora's next council meeting, which is in 2 weeks on July 22nd.
At that same city council meeting, Aurora passed a resolution to put pit bulls back on the November ballot. This comes after voters chose to ban the dog breed 10 years ago, and city council lifted the ban in 2021. A man who voted in favor of the ban filed a lawsuit claiming the city disregarded the choices of the people they represent. An Aurora district judge agreed, saying that the ordinance could only be changed by another vote. Now, voters will have a chance to decide on the ban in November. And in Westminster, City Council voted to shrink the 400-acre off-leash dog park in Westminster Hills open space. The city proposed either making it smaller or closing it completely to help conserve it. But a lot of dog owners were not happy with that and spoke out at public comments.
Republican Greg Lopez is now representing Colorado's 4th District. Speaker Mike Johnson swore him into Congress on Monday. He replaces Ken Buck, who retired this year. Lopez will finish out the term, which ends in January. Given the makeup of the district, he will likely be replaced by Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who won her primary for the CD4.
Today, jury selection is set to begin for Alec Baldwin's manslaughter trial. The actor is charged in the shooting death of the cinematographer on the set of the film Rust. In a motions hearing Monday, the judge ruled that Baldwin's role as a producer on the film will not be considered during the trial, which is something that had been a key part of the prosecution's strategy. Baldwin's legal team says since the weapon in question was destroyed from FBI forensic testing, it was no longer possible to recreate the examination. They add that this lack of evidence played a factor in trial preparations.
Today, closing arguments continued in the federal bribery trial of a New Jersey Senator, Robert Mendez. Defense attorneys rested their case last week without Senator Mendez taking the stand. Prosecutors allege bribes in the form of gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash were uncovered during a search of Mendez's home in 2022. Mendez pleaded not guilty to corruption charges, including bribery, acting as a foreign agent of Egypt, and obstruction of justice.
This morning, Democratic support for President Joe Biden continues to fade, with a sixth Democratic lawmaker now calling on him to drop out of the presidential race. Congressman Adam Smith of Washington is urging the president to step aside.
The president has done a great job, okay? We have a great record to run on, but what we've seen over and over again, he can't deliver that message, and the questions about his health, again, oh, Democrats should just shut up and get in line, don't question. We're not the ones bringing it up.
Right.
The president's debate performance and what has happened since then, as well as some incidents before that, are bringing it. We have to deal with it.
The president has repeatedly said he will not drop out of the race. He blames his poor debate performance on exhaustion and illness.
Former President Donald Trump is distancing himself from the conservative platform known as Project 2025. Project 2025, or the Presidential Transition Project, is a plan to reshape the U.S. government in the event of a Republican Party victory in this year's presidential election. Trump took to social media platform Truth Social to say he knows nothing about it and disagrees with some of its key directives.
New this morning, a new poll shows more potential trouble for President Biden. According to a recent USA Today survey, more registered voters now say they approve of former President Donald Trump's performance in office. In that same poll, only 41% of people said that they approved of President Biden's current performance.
Right now, millions of Texans are without power after Beryl tore through the state. Now the region is about to be hit with a dangerous heat wave. Today, southeast Texas has a heat advisory in place. The forecast calls for temperatures to reach the low 90s, but the heat index, or the feels-like temperatures, could reach as high as 105 degrees.
The National Weather Service warns the lack of proper cooling combined with people cleaning up damage after the storm could produce dangerous heat conditions. But state officials warn that restoring power will take several days. So far, at least 8 people have died from Beryl. Our 9 News weather team has been tracking Beryl over the past couple of weeks. Keely, has the storm run its course just yet?
Well, it's certainly weakening. It made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane over Texas coast yesterday morning, but you can see it has gradually weakened as it's pushed off to the north and east. It did pack 80-mile-per-hour winds when it made landfall. Those winds now down to about 30 miles per hour. Its trajectory heading toward the northeast about 23 miles per hour, making its way toward Toronto by Thursday morning. It is moving this direction because we have this ridge of high pressure acting as a block, really, for that storm, keeping any type of storm activity out of our area. That is what is going to usher in the heat over the next several days. We're talking 90-degree weather here in Colorado today. We're going to look at triple-digit heat by the weekend as that ridge of high pressure locks in place.